Oh, thank you, everybody. Wow. So, boy, there are cars. Who had to walk like 5 miles? You have your cars parked. I've never seen so many cars down the road, like about a 5-mile walk. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Really great to be with you. The last time I was here, we won, right? We won. Big league. We won big league. And we're going to win again. I tell you, we're going to win again. Very important. So you've heard me talking about New Hampshire, and you've heard me talking about heroin and what I learned from the people of New Hampshire and the problem we have. And a lot of my thinking went into the strong border and the wall because of New Hampshire, believe it or not. And we're going to stop that crap from coming in, I'll tell you. We're going to stop heroin from pouring in. We're going to stop it from pouring in. We're going to work with the youth and other people that are totally addicted to what our country has allowed to come in to this state and to virtually every other state. And you know, when I went around, and I really got to know the folks here well, and again, I came in here, and it was the first big thing. It was a big victory. My first political victory was New Hampshire. Can you believe it? At first. And so I came in and I learned a lot because I went around and I looked at the beautiful trees and I looked at the beautiful lakes and rivers and the little winding roads. And then I'd meet with a group, some of the people I see right here that I'd meet with, right? And so I said, what's your biggest problem? They said, heroin. I said, whoa, it's heroin. This doesn't look like heroin. They said the biggest problem is heroin. And it comes in mostly from the southern border. And I learned so much. And then I went to other states and I was finding the same thing. And the wall just kept getting bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger. Okay? So, believe me, we're going to build that wall. Isn't it great? Think of it. Here it is, a Saturday night, a beautiful Saturday night. I have all the time in the world. Let's just stay and talk and have fun. A beautiful Saturday night. And we're together and we're going to have a good time, okay? We're going to have a good time. So I had to tell you that over the last few days, you've been reading about this horrible, incompetent group of people that we have in Washington. They're absolutely terrible, and they really are. It doesn't get worse. It can't get worse. $400 million in cash sent to Iran. And then the president lies, which is a perfect lie, just like he lied on Obamacare. Remember? You keep your plan, you keep your doctor, keep your plan, I think 24 times, right? And Obamacare is a disaster. You know, Obamacare is imploding. Do you see what's going on with Obamacare? 28% increases, 37%. In Texas, almost a 60% increase. It's dead anyway. We're going to repeal it and replace it, but it's going to die anyway. It's going to die anyway. So $400 million. Think of it. Think of it. What does it look like? Think of it. And it comes in, and it goes to Iran, and they're going to use it for terror. Now, I happen to think a little differently. I think they're going to steal the money, personally. I think they're not going to use it. I think they're going to use some for terror. But I would be willing to bet that they'll steal more than they use for terror. But they got other money they're going to use. You know, don't forget, I hope we're not giving any more in cash, but they will steal that money, and it'll go into Swiss accounts and various accounts all over the world, and they'll use it for themselves. Okay, you watch. You watch. That'll be my next prediction. I've made a lot of good predictions, folks. I've made a lot of good predictions. My next prediction, Now, they'll use some of it for terror, but they're going to take a lot of it. Some of the people, whoever this money gets to, and which would be the top people, essentially. But that money will go to people's bank accounts, okay? Very simple. And some will be used for terror. So here we are, giving $150 billion to a terrorist state. Here we are having a president who says, the same day, I believe, who says that the $400 million, all cash, delivered by plane, has absolutely nothing to do with the hostages. Even though they're leaving the same day. Even though they stayed at the airport for many, many hours, waiting for a plane to come in, meaning, I assume, a plane with money on it, and they wouldn't have allowed them to go. They wouldn't have allowed them to go if that money didn't come in. So it's very simple. It's very simple. We have the most incompetent people in Washington. We have the most inept president. We have people you don't know. Are they dumb? Are they dumb? And this is honestly, this is the least of it. I actually saw somebody on television today saying, well, $400 million isn't that much money. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? He was saying, speaking for Obama, 400 million is not that much money. What's the big deal? 400 million in cash. Different currencies. Okay, yeah, it'll end up going to the Clinton Foundation. So I wrote this yesterday, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. All right? Unstable Hillary Clinton, and you saw that. Did you saw that where she basically short-circuited? She said, she did. It wasn't a press conference because that's around 250 days. But it was in front of some friendly reporters. They asked her a very easy question. And she short-circuited. She used the term, short-circuited. She took a little short circuit in the brain. And she's got problems. I mean, if we had real people, this would be a real problem for her. But I think that the people of this country don't want somebody that's going to short circuit up here. Okay? Not as your president. Not as your president. And remember, ISIS is looking, folks. They dream of Hillary Clinton. They look at her and they say, this can't be happening to us. How great is this? Now you tell me she looks presidential, folks. I look presidential. You tell me. You tell me she looks presidential. They are just watching and they're looking and boy, they're salivating. They're salivating. They're saying that's what we want. Oh, that's what we want. But you know what she did and the lies that she told over and over again. And her single greatest achievement, because everything she's touched has turned bad. Every single thing, whether it's Libya, whether it's Syria, you look at the migration, it starts for so many different reasons, but she's a big part of it. The Iran deal was a concept that she started. That's, by the way, going to go down as one of the worst deals in the history of this country and Israel. And Israel. That is going to be one of the worst deals of this country and Israel. For Israel to have to put up with a deal like that is so incredible. And honestly, Barack Obama has been I think, the worst thing, perhaps, to ever happen to Israel. The worst. He is totally, and remember I said it, he is totally incompetent. Totally incompetent. So unstable, Hillary Clinton lacks the judgment. Remember Bernie Sanders said it. She's got bad judgment. I remember he said it. I immediately wrote it down up here. Good memory. But I immediately wrote it down because Bernie, he actually said she's not fit to be president because she has bad judgment, okay? And she does. She lacks the judgment. She lacks the temperament. You talk about temperament. You know, the writers gave her a word. Let's use temperament for Trump. Let's use temperament. I've always had a great temperament. And you know, I win. I have a winning temperament. We're going to win. We're going to start winning again. But I've won. My life has been about winning. I win. She can't win. She's not a winner. She can't win. But somebody said, oh, let's attack, because the subject can't be on her because she's been such a failure. So they came up with the word temperament. You know, it's interesting. A while ago, they used the word tone. And she said, this was a while, she said, I don't like, as she's reading her teleprompter, I don't like Donald Trump's, wait a minute, tone. I don't like Donald Trump's tone. I think I have a good tone. I think I have a good tone. So we have people in the Middle East, Christians and others, whose heads are being chopped off, who are being drowned in steel cages, who are being buried in sand. And they're worried, think of it, they're worried about my tone. They don't want to allow waterboarding. Can you imagine what ISIS must say when they hear that in our country they don't want to allow waterboarding? Now, look, waterboarding's not nice, but you know, it was supposed to be sort of the minimal. And for a while, people used it. And by the way, it does work, okay? You know, they all say it does work. It works plenty. But can you imagine these horrible human beings, horrible animals from ISIS, when they chop off heads, they drown people, they bury people in sand, and then they hear the United States doesn't want to allow waterboarding. And, you know, we're just not playing on the same surface, right? We're not playing on this. We sort of have to go uphill. We have to go uphill. So unstable Hillary, she lacks the judgment, temperament, and moral character to lead this country. She's a dangerous liar. Now, her greatest achievement is that. It's going to be that she got away. She was totally caught. 33,000 emails are missing. They got her cold, right? Negligence. They got her cold. Other people for doing 4%, 2%, 3% of what she did, they're in trouble, okay? They're in big trouble. Their lives have been ruined. Nah, he looks like a nice guy. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him. All right, thank you. Thank you, disruptor. You know, we don't have that much anymore because Bernie Sanders used to have his people come around. In all fairness, his people had much more spirit than Hillary's. Hillary's people have no spirit. Hillary Clinton goes to Philadelphia. She goes to different places, like unlike this, where you have lines of people outside trying to get in. Hillary Clinton, nobody shows up. Now, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but people don't show up. All right, get them out of here, please. Oh, somebody hurt? All right, take your time then, fellas. Take your time. Take your time. Doctor, all right, take your time. It's hot. If anyone's not feeling good, it's very hot in this room, a lot of people. This room was not meant for this many people, that I can tell you. All right, take your time, fellas. Take your time. We have such great people, and we want to take care of our people, right? All right, take your time. Okay? That's great. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Give him a hand, everybody. That's great. It's hot. It's hot in here, folks. But that's okay. I consider this like a sweatsuit. That's why. So, she's a dangerous liar who has disregarded the lives of Americans and who has put all of us at great, great risk with what she's done, while supporting economic policies that have destroyed our economy. She is a totally unhinged person. She's unbalanced. And all you have to do is watch her, see her, read about her. She will cause, if she wins, which hopefully she won't, the destruction of our country from within. If you look at what she's doing with people from Syria that we have no idea who they are, where they come from, there's no paperwork that's reliable, she will cause problems for us. Now listen to this. You know, Obama's letting people come in by the thousands. And now, from this area, and now they've stepped it up a lot. They've stepped it up. Big league. Did you see the chart that come? It's going like this. Boom, 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 last number of months. People are coming in from the Middle East. We've never seen anything like it. I mean, what is going on in Washington? What are they thinking? They look at Germany. They look at France. I have friends that go to France. They love France. They don't love it anymore. They're not going anymore. France is no longer France, folks. We are allowing thousands and thousands of people to come in. And Hillary Clinton wants to increase that number very substantially from what we're allowing to come in. So in the words of a Secret Service agent that was with her, spent a lot of time with her, he said the following: she simply lacks the integrity and temperament to serve in the office. From the bottom of my soul, he said, I know this to be true. Her leadership style, volcanic, impulsive, horrible, horrible, disdainful of rules. You saw that. I mean, how much can anybody lie? 33,000 emails are gone, and nothing happened to her. It's her greatest achievement. I'm telling you, her greatest achievement is getting out of trouble. It's the only thing she's done well. It's true. Hillary supports and helped create Obama's disastrous Iran policy, including putting Iran on the path to nuclear weapons. This deal's a disaster. We're giving them back $150 billion. The $400 million in cash was for the hostages, folks. The same day, one of the hostages, and maybe by now all of them, said they waited hours and hours and hours, I guess, at the airport because they were waiting for something. I think he said they were waiting for a plane to come in. The plane had $400 million in cash. Who has the right to authorize something like that? And then Obama said, well, we had to do it in cash because we didn't have a working relationship with Iran, even though they've been negotiating with them for years. And they had no accounts. So they gave $400 million in cash. Folks, we got to end it. And Hillary Clinton will be 4 more years of Obama, 4 more years of ISIS, which she and Obama created, which they created. Don't forget, I didn't want to go into Iraq. I said, you're going to destabilize the Middle East. And I didn't. I didn't want to go in. And I fought it. Now, it didn't matter. I was a civilian. I was a businessman. I was doing lots of things. I loved it. Built a great company. Great company. But some of the greatest real estate assets in the world. But you know what? When I looked at that, they didn't want to go, right? They didn't want to go. They talked about all sorts of things. We shouldn't have gone. But now we went. And now Obama comes in, and the way he got out was so bad and so foolish. Remember, he set dates and told everybody what the date. You know, a lot of times I'll say, I'm a big fan of people like General George Patton, General Douglas MacArthur. We love our General Flynn, right? Good man, good. But I'm a big fan of Douglas MacArthur and Patton. They are now spinning in their graves when they watch this incompetent stuff. Here we have a military where our planes are going down from age. 2 of them a couple of days ago went down. To get parts, they go to the airplane graveyard because some of our fighter jets are so old that they don't make the parts anymore. They go to plane museums. They take parts off these old planes. These are our fighter jets. Our military is depleted, so depleted, it's terrible. At a time when just about as much as any time that we've ever had, we need a strong, powerful military, and hopefully we'll not have to use it. You know, I get a kick out of these dopey people, these stupid, foolish people, when they talk about, can we trust Donald Trump with nuclear? Can we trust him? You know, it's a whole little narrative. They'll spend $1 billion on this, but the people aren't buying it. When I'm the one that didn't want to go into Iraq, and I'll be the last one to use nuclear. I'd be the last one. Believe me, I would be the last one. And because I understand what it represents. I understand what it means. So you got to understand, when they do a deal like the Iran deal, what they're doing really is allowing nuclear to happen. That's what's going to happen. They're allowing it to happen. These people that we call leaders, they're not leaders. Now, it's possible, I guess, but I don't think so. But it's possible. You know, I've been saying for a long time, the lobbyists, the special interests, all of these people, they have such total control. And by the way, speaking of this, okay, because I've been talking about this, as you know, I'm putting up a lot of money to run. If I don't win, I've lost a lot of money. I've spent a lot of energy and a lot of time. And, you know, they can talk all they want that this has been one of the great, a lot of the people right back there, 2 of them I see, they say that what we've done together has been the greatest. Okay. I have to be nice. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Well, I'll tell you, New Hampshire is very important. You got to get out. We have a great team, the same team that won in the primaries. We have a great, great team here, and you got to get out, and you got to vote on November 8th. Now, I'll be up here a lot, so it's not. But, in fact, I'll be up here so much, you're going to say, please tell him not to come up. It's okay. No, I'll be back. I'll be back a lot. But we want to win. We really do. We want to win New Hampshire. New Hampshire sets a lot of good things into motion. A lot of good things. So we have a situation where we have to take our military, make it better. We have to. Al has been so great. Where's Al? Oh, my vet. Where's my vet? Al Baldessaro. We work so hard with the veterans. We love the veterans, and we have tremendous support all throughout the country with the veterans. We have a plan that's so good that's been universally loved by the vets. And it's so simple. And it's so simple. And they start waiting in lines for 6 or 7 or 8 days. They're going to go to a local doctor who's looking for the business. They're going to go to a local hospital, whether it's public or private, and they're going to have themselves taken care of, and we're going to pay the bill, and it's the least expensive thing we can do. The least expensive thing. The least. So we're going to straighten things out in our country. A few things are going to happen. And, you know, it was very interesting. We talk here, and it was so important to me because of my conversations with so many people in the room, personal conversations about heroin. And as you know, the Border Patrol agents, Southern Border, 16,500 of them, they endorsed me. They've never endorsed a presidential candidate. So important. And also, the great Sheriff Joe Arpaio of Arizona endorsed me. He knows. He's been on those borders a long time. But the Border Patrol agents wrote a letter, and it's an incredible letter, and I thought I'd read a couple of paragraphs to you because it says what's going on in this country. It says what's happening in our country. We have to have borders or we don't have a country. We need borders. We need the wall. We have to stop the drugs from pouring in. We have to. And Mexico's going to pay for the wall. Remember that, okay? Just remember. Clinton, and this is from the Border Patrol Agents Association, great people, endorsed me. Clinton and Obama, from them, both agree that they must appease the radical extremists in their party and their party's furthest fringe, and that is a pretty wild fringe. Unfortunately, the citizens who were victimized by criminal aliens paid the cost of that appeasement, as well as cities that were flooded with meth and heroin. Welcome to our state, okay? And so many other states. And the crimes associated with the illegal drug trade. President Obama and Secretary Clinton failed to recognize we live in a world where religious and political fanatics are actively plotting to harm the United States and its citizens at home and abroad. These are great people. By the way, it's so much easier for them. Just let everyone go through. They don't want to let everyone go through because they see what's happening to our country. So much easier for them. So much easier. The citizens at home and abroad, instead of investing in measures to secure our nation's borders, they have openly and actively pursued what Secretary of State, here's a real winner, John Kerry. There's a winner. In the middle of a negotiation, he's in a bicycle race. He falls, he breaks his leg. He's gone. I'm never riding bicycles, folks, I promise. He called it, and what he wants is a borderless world. Let everybody come in. Let everybody come in. Americans need to ask themselves, do we want to risk the safety and the security of our family, businesses and communities on dangerous and extreme policies? I don't think so, folks. Secretary Clinton called for amnesty in her first 100 days. You heard this. She wants amnesty, everybody. And expanding these dangerous Obama policies demonstrates her deeply alarming willingness to sell out the security of the American family. That's what's happening. All she's going to do is advance her political and financial interests. Her immigration plan is not only dangerous for all American families, but previews an administration, which, by the way, as I said before, is grossly incompetent, that will once again defy the will of the voters and Congress to implement a divisive, reckless, and partisan agenda. That's all they're doing, folks. And we're dying with it. Every American family should be alarmed that her plan leaves their children vulnerable to drug cartels that control the Mexican border. okay? And you know in New Hampshire maybe better than anyone because it's so high on the list, exactly what they're talking about. Last year, 150,000 people were killed by these ruthless criminal organizations. Anyone who opposed them quickly discovered that these cartel leaders were morally gone. Hundreds of journalists, activists, politicians, and law enforcement officers simply disappeared or fled to the United States as the cartels used forms of terror such as torture, dismemberment, and beheadings to control people. They went a little further than waterboarding, by the way, okay, folks? Clinton's failure to recognize this pending threat leaves all of us vulnerable to the growing power and influence of these criminal organizations. And it goes on and on. It goes on and on, folks. It's a disaster. What's happening in our country is a total disaster, okay? And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're going to get smart. It's more than a wall. It's an attitude. We have a president that won't use the term radical Islamic terror. He won't use it. And unless he uses that term, he's never going to solve anything. He's never going to solve. He doesn't even know what the problem is. No matter what you say, he doesn't know, and he is the problem. To a large extent, he is the problem. To a large extent, this guy, to a large extent, this guy is the problem. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to spend a minute more on Hillary Rotten Clinton, okay? Just a minute. Because she made some statements that are so disgusting. So disgusting. Honestly, you know, we're all trying to be nice. It's such an embarrassment that they didn't find her guilty to this country. You know that. You know that. At some point, I'm sure it'll be talked about. It's such an embarrassment. In fact, as they went after point after point after point, I said, oh, wow, she's guilty. And guess what happened? And then Bill Clinton spends 39 minutes in the back of an airplane, right? With the Attorney General, 39 minutes in the back of an airplane, talking about grandkids. Now, look, I'm a very good father. I love my grandkids. I think they're great. But, okay, you ready? I love them. I love them so much. Here's a picture. Here's a picture. Here's a picture. I love them. They're the greatest. They're so smart. They're so beautiful. Look how beautiful. That's 2 minutes. How much longer? Then he said grandkids and golf. Okay, now you talk about your swing. You talk about Jack. You talk about Arnold. You talk about Tiger. You talk about Phil. But you can't talk 30. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time. And the funny thing, you know, he just happened to be there. Just happened to, you know, oh, that's wonderful. I don't think they found out that he was in town for anything else. You know, he said he was there playing golf. But, you know, remember, it's Arizona. And it's hot. Because I had just left Arizona 2 weeks before. And it was like 120 degrees on somebody's lawn. We had a fundraiser to raise money for the Republican Party. By the way, so, as you remember, just prior to June, they were doing horrible stories. Now, I had to make sure I had the nomination, right? You know, I had all these people fighting. I'm not looking to raise money. They're all fighting. Who am I raising money for? So I had to wait. So we were a little bit late because we got to make sure. I like to do first things first. Nice and I'm very organized. Boom, boom, boom. So we get the nomination. Then they said, Trump didn't raise any money for the Republican, which is true. We didn't start. But then we started around June, really sort of the middle of June. In fact, June 14th, Flag Day, it's my birthday. We started. Flag. My birthday. My birthday, June 14th. So we started sort of around there. And they thought we'd raise $4 million, $5 million. And we went out to the public for the small donations because we love those donations. Those donations are incredible. Those donations, because, you know, people are investing in the campaign. It's not a guy giving $5 million and having total control over your candidate. So we go out, And lo and behold, and we had others also coming in, and I put up a lot of money, a lot. Isn't it nice that I'm putting up a lot? I'm going to be in this thing for a lot of money. I spent about 60 on the almost 60, I guess, on the primaries, and I'm spending a lot more now. And then we're raising the money for the Republican Party, and Reince Priebus, who's fantastic, a great guy, okay, Republican National Committee, RNC. But here's what happens. So June comes, and we knock the hell out of it. $51 million there is. They thought 5, 6. And I think 27 of it came from small donors, $61 apiece. Can you believe it? That doesn't happen. That happened to Bernie, but that doesn't happen for Republicans, you know, because Republicans, I don't know, there's a different mindset or something. But then we had this month, right? And we just announced, and I believe the number was $82 million. 82 million, and much of it came from the small donor, and it averaged around $64, $65 or something like that, but very small numbers. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of donors because they're part of this movement, folks. They're part of this movement, and we're going to do something so incredible. So Hillary has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on ads against me. Many of the ads are false, by the way. I'll tell you, they're false. You know the story. Many of the ads are false. They're false, they're deceptive. I tell you what, and they know they're false. That's what makes it even worse. But I think most of the public knows they're false. But Hillary has spent all of this money. I don't think I've spent 10 cents, but we're building it up. We're building. And we'll be spending a lot of money pretty soon. But it's a little early to spend. You know, it's like the racehorse, right? Hangs back, hangs back, hangs back. And I think we got some pretty good ads, but we don't want to go too fast. Just nice and easy, you know, like the old racehorse, the old professional, right? So we hang back. So let's see what happens. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I'm making a mistake. I can tell you in the primaries, I spent for the major candidates less than anybody else. I came in #1. Other people spent massive amounts of money, and they came in 6, 7, 8, 9, right? And I always say, so who would you rather have as your president? The one that spent the least and came in #1, or the one that spent the most and came in at the bottom of the pack? Because it's no different. It's no different. So listen, just a few of these. So Hillary Clinton made repeated false statements to the media, Congress, and the public, right? False statement #1. This stuff is so amazing. It amazes me, actually. Honestly, I don't think she's all there. Because when I watched that interview, when I watched the interview that she did on Fox, I said, boy, this is going to be a massive, massive scandal. And nothing happened. Then 3 days later, it was like a delayed. If I ever did that interview, they would have me terminate my run. I'm telling you, that's how bad this thing was. So, false statement #1. Hillary Clinton claimed the reason for her illegal use of a private, insecure email was that it was more convenient to use just one device. Fact, the FBI director said Hillary used several different devices, not one, and numerous mobile devices to send and read emails. In other words, Hillary's secret email server existed for the reason we all know, to keep her emails from ever being read by the public. It has nothing to do with just one device. She's used many different forms. False statement #2. In her testimony to Congress, Hillary Clinton, commonly known as Crooked Hillary, said she turned over all of her work-related emails. Okay? Fact. Turned them all over. Right. Quote, all of her work-related emails, end of quote. Right? Fact. The FBI director said Hillary failed to turn over several thousand, not 2, several thousand work-related emails, including emails that were classified. False statement #3. In her testimony to Congress, Hillary Clinton said there was nothing more classified on my emails, either sent or received, right? That's a simple statement. Fact. The FBI director said Hillary had sent or received more than 100 emails with classified information, including emails with confidential, secret, and top secret information on them. False statement number 4, and there are many others, but we'll end after another 2. Hillary said her private server was secure with numerous safeguards and had no security breaches. Fact, the FBI director said it is possible that hostile actors gained access to Hillary's personal email account and that she used her insecure email while traveling abroad in the territory of sophisticated adversaries, and they are sophisticated. The FBI director also confirmed that hackers breached the email and the email accounts of the people she was emailing. Okay? They confirmed it, I guess. Our enemies now have a blackmail file on Hillary, disqualifying her from service. Okay? False statement number 5 in a testimony to Congress. Hillary Clinton said her attorneys conducted a rigorous review. Remember? Rigorous review. We've reviewed everything of her emails and said they went through every single email. That was a quote. Every single email. The FBI, think of it, the FBI director said the lawyers doing the sorting for Secretary Clinton in 2014 did not individually read the content of all of her emails before destroying them. So they don't even know what was on many of the emails before destroying them. Okay. She's a liar. She is a horrible, horrible human being. And I don't think that you can allow her. She's incompetent. She's incompetent. And I don't think that you can even think of allowing this woman to become the president of the United States. I don't think so. So here's the thing that we want to talk about. Trade. New Hampshire getting wiped out on trade. You're getting hurt, New Hampshire. I have the stats. Stats are bad, so I'm not going to read them because it's too hot in here, right? Is anybody cool in this room? No. Everybody tonight will lose on average 6.2 pounds, okay? 6 pounds. I don't mind. You know, it's so hot in here. This room was not designed for this many people. It's so hot in here that I consider this to be like a workout, right? It's like, oh, man, this sucker is warm. This could be our record, and we've had some hot rooms, I'll tell you, with some hot people. All right, so you ready? We have to protect our country. Our country is losing its companies. Our country is losing its jobs. Our trade deficits are massive all over the world. We don't know what the hell we're doing. We have President Obama. Either he doesn't care or he doesn't know. I personally think he's incompetent and he doesn't really know. But some people think he doesn't care. Right now, he's playing golf, not so far away from here, right? Right now, he's playing. I love when he goes to talk about the global footprint, right? Global footprint and global warming, right? He wants to talk about the carbon footprint. And then he flies to Hawaii in Air Force One, a massive and very old, with very old engines, spewing stuff into the atmosphere. And he flies from Washington to Hawaii, stays there for an unbelievably long time, like, is it 2 weeks or something? You know, it's funny. And then comes back and then holds a press conference on global warming. Okay, give me a break. You know, it's really true. It's really true. Isn't it true? He goes there. I mean, he plays more golf than professionals who play for a living on the PGA Tour. More. So We need to protect our borders on trade also. Because China, where we have a trade deficit of $500 billion, and this has been going on for years. It's amazing that our country can take it. China, with this massive trade deficit, we have to build common sense into our negotiation. They devalue their currency. They're constantly doing numbers on us. They make it impossible for our companies to compete. That includes Japan. That includes Mexico. That includes so many. You know, with Mexico, not only do they beat us, and their leaders are tremendous. They're smarter than our leaders. Much smarter, much more cunning, much more street smart. But they're smarter than our leaders. Mexico, we have a massive trade deficit. That's why when I say Mexico is going to pay for the wall is peanuts. Peanuts compared to the trade deficit. You know, these politicians come up to me. Well, Don, you're not really going to build a wall. I mean, can it be built? Can it be built? In China, they built a wall that's 13,000 miles long. They built it 2,000 years ago. And that's a serious wall. It's called the Great Wall of China, okay, in case you didn't know, right? Here we need 1,000. It's 2,000 miles. We need 1,000 because you have natural borders. You have natural barriers. But we need 1,000. But in China, so here's the story, and it's very interesting. We'll do it through, if they cheat, you got a tax, right? If they cheat. If they devalue currency, that's cheating. Now, we don't do things, and we don't tell people that, by the way, you're making it impossible for us to compete. So many companies are moving to Mexico. A friend of mine builds plants, massive plants, one of the biggest. And he was telling me how many he's building in Mexico, and they're the biggest. I mean, he said what's happening in Mexico is the 8th wonder of the world. They said, how's the United States doing? Not good. Oh, great. Great. It's great. He started in the United States, building plants in the United States. He said the actions in Mexico. He said they are building plants, Donald, the likes of which you've never seen. You have a lot of people in this room, and right now, even though it's Saturday evening, right now, you have companies that you work for that are negotiating to move to Mexico, and they're going to fire people. So it's not going to happen. Don't worry, folks. If I'm president, it's not going to happen. Because like Carrier in Indiana, which is one of the reasons I won Indiana in a landslide, because they know I'm going to take care of the situation so easily. But like Carrier that fired its people, and they're moving to Mexico, we have many companies, many hundreds, thousands, and we're losing our companies. We're losing our jobs. We're not making things anymore relative to what we should be. I fly over these areas, and I see factories that are falling apart from the rain and the wind and the snow. I see it, and it's horrible to watch. And it's all because of politicians that have no idea what they're doing. They give interest-free loans. They don't need the money. And sometimes they'll try and take the money and leave anyway. Why not? Why not? Now, we're going to do something because we're going to protect our borders. And the something we're going to do is when, as an example, Carrier moves to Mexico, we say, congratulations, enjoy it. Enjoy it. We hope you have a great stay. But by the way, when you make an air conditioning unit, when that unit comes across our now very strong border, we're going to charge you a 35% tax, okay? 35%. And one of two things is going to happen. Folks, it's so simple. So simple. One of two things is going to happen. Either they're going to say, well, we're not moving, and that's the most likely. They're not going to move. And they can move to New Hampshire. And they can move to New York State, which has massive problems where they've lost massive 40, 50% of their manufacturing's gone to other places, including Mexico. They can move to places within the United States. I love that competition, okay? But they cannot move to other countries. And these other countries aren't going to take our businesses very smartly, even give them money to build their plants. Take our businesses, let them build their products, right? And then send them back in Indiana, and you sell them in Indiana, and you sell them in New Hampshire, and you sell them in places where they originally came from. It's like the double insult. It's like the double insult, okay? So that's not going to happen. So here's what I found. And I've never read this before, I don't think, but I found it. People that were pretty good are saying Donald Trump is right. George Washington, right? Now, you have these, I'm actually a very conservative person, but a lot of people don't know that because they think my views on trade aren't conservative. Because I believe in free trade. But for free trade, you need smart people negotiating, and we don't have smart people. We don't have smart people. And I believe in fair trade. I believe there's 10 different names for trade. So one of these characters in the back asked me about trade, right? They asked me about trade. They said, Mr. Trump, well, what would you define your stance on trade? I said, very simple. I want to make great deals. That's all. Great deals for the American people. It can be fair. It can be free. It can be fair. It can be anything you want. There's a lot of names. It could be, I know all of them. I want to make great deals for the American people. I don't care. And you can make different deals with different countries. And we're never going to do Trans-Pacific Partnership because it's not going to work. It's going to be just as bad as NAFTA. And NAFTA, which is the worst deal ever signed in the history of our country from an economic development standpoint, it cleaned out your factories. It cleaned them out. And they moved to different locations. But here's what happens. So I'm getting these quotes. George Washington, he's pretty good, right? George Washington. The promotion of domestic manufacturing will be among the first consequences to flow from an energetic government. What he means is you have to have strength. Abraham Lincoln. The abandonment of protective policy. Protective, you know what he means by that, right? By the American government will produce want and ruin among our people. In other words, you have to protect your businesses. You can't let them be taken out. We can't be stupid people. We're stupid people. Okay? We've got stupid people in Washington. Listen to that. Abraham Lincoln, the abandonment. It's been abandoned. I see the factories all over the place. They're lying. The bricks are falling off. The roofs are falling in just from years and years of water and wind. The abandonment of protective policy. In other words, we got to protect. That means through taxation, folks. We got to protect. We have to be smart. Ronald Reagan enacted tariffs. You could also call it a tax, but tariffs, to save the U.S. motorcycle and semiconductor industry. Ronald Reagan said, it is wrong for the American worker and American businessman to continue to bear the burden imposed by those who abuse the world trading system. Now, he put a very big tariff for the sale of the semiconductors and motorcycles for a limited period of time. Saved Harley-Davidson, I believe. Saved others. Great. Ronald Reagan, good guy. GOP platform from 1896, a long time ago, said, the American industrial independence is the foundation of American development and prosperity. We have to protect it. So here's the story, folks. We don't win anymore. We don't win at trade. We don't win with our military. We can't beat ISIS. We don't win for our great vets. We love our vets, and we're going to win for our vets. We don't win with education. We're ranked very, very poorly and very low in education. We don't win in virtually any category. And by the way, we, meaning the next president, meaning hopefully us, meaning me, because I'll be your greatest representative, hopefully ever. We have to select, it could be as many as 4, could even be 5, but we're going to be picking a lot of Supreme Court justices. We already lost a great one that was unexpected. It wasn't supposed to happen, right? But he passed away, Judge Scalia. So Justice Scalia's gone, and we have that empty seat, and already you see what's going on. And if, I say it, because I think a lot of people like me. You know, we got the most votes. Look, we got almost 14 million votes. We got the most votes in the history of the Republican Party in primaries. And I was running against 16 other people. So, you know, it's impossible to do. Other guys ran against 1 person, 2 person, 3. We had the largest field ever and a very capable field. But we got the most votes in the history of the Republican Party, right? So here's the story. We have to pick great justices. And I say, it's so important. I say to people, even if you don't like me, you have to vote Republican. Because we're going to pick great justices, like in the mold of Justice Scalia, okay? Very important. So important. We're going to save our Second Amendment, because our Second Amendment is totally under siege. We're going to save our Second Amendment. We are going to have fantastic, strong, borders. But we're going to allow people to come into this country, but they're going to come in legally. They're going to come in legally, okay? And we will have the wall, and the wall does work, and it will be big. And every time people give us a hard time, that wall's getting 10 feet higher, right? Getting 10 feet higher. So, we're going to start winning again. We're going to win on trade. We're going to win with the military. We're going to kick the ass of ISIS. I have no choice. We have no. We're going to win for our vets. We're going to win for our vets. We're going to take care of our vets. We're going to win on education. We're going to win on the borders. We're going to win in every way. We're going to win so much that the people of New Hampshire are going to get absolutely sick and tired of winning. They're going to say, we must send a delegation to Washington. We must send this delegation to talk to President Trump. We can't stand winning so much. Businesses are pouring in. Our wages are going up for the first time in 18 years. We're able to get great jobs. We can't stand it anymore. We're not used to it. President Trump, please stop winning, sir. And I'm going to say, I'm sorry, folks. We're going to step on the gas. We're going to win even more because we are going to make America great again. Thank you. I love you. Thank you very much. God bless you.